Watch you rise, watch you fall. Now I'm about to break. Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this? Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this? Face the pain. Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Fixed Fights podcast with Kurt and Ben. As always, I'm Kurt. I'm here with my main man, Ben. How you doing this week, dude?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. We just got a little snow apocalypse up here in the Northeast in Connecticut. I don't know if you can see the, you can't really see it, but snowy backdrop out there.
Dude, I've been
Not
seeing social media posts about it. That's like why I think Joe Rogan says this, but that's why all you motherfuckers up in the Northeast are so like tough and some like inexplicably good at MMA. It's the weather, right? It's got to be the weather.
Well, here's the thing, man. Like the last couple of years, at least in Connecticut, it's not been that bad. And now I feel like this year we've got hit with a couple of snowstorms, and people are acting like they've never like dealt with snow before. I don't know if they got rusty from like because I lived in Florida for 4 years, and I feel like since I've been back in Connecticut for the last like 3 years, it hasn't been that bad. But it's like y'all have dealt with snow your whole life, so now it's like you get one snowstorm and people are like buying out all the gas and like buying out the store. It's like, dude, like we live in this. It's not like Florida getting hit with the snowstorm. I don't know. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's right up your alley. And hey, before we get into MMA, talking about regions, I watch maybe one NFL game a year. And I'm going to watch my first one this weekend. And if assuming the Chiefs win, I got to like find a Chiefs hat or something. I'm going to be a fan next week if they win this weekend. If they don't win this weekend, then forget it. I'm not from Kansas City.
I mean, they have a good chance to win, and I'm glad you brought that up because, as always, this episode is brought to you by MyBookie. Not only can you bet on MMA, but you can also bet on the Super Bowl and any other sports using our code, which is Fixed MMA. That's mybookie.ag. Currently, your Kansas City Chiefs are the -3.5 favorites. I like that line, man. I like that line. They beat the Bucks in the first game. Kansas City is such a good team. The only thing is Tampa's actually the home team for this game, and it's crazy because this is the first time in, I believe, 55 Super Bowls that a team is playing at home in the Super Bowl. But if you want to bet on the Super Bowl along with any of these MMA events coming up, Fixed MMA promo code mybookie.ag. Sign up with us. Win some money.
You know, maybe I'll have to sprinkle some reckless money on a sport I know nothing about this weekend, just to make it interesting.
Listen, man, Kansas City is really, really good. They are very good.
So I hear.
Hey, man, you can go to the... Well, actually, I don't think they'll be doing a parade this year with COVID, right?
Not a legal one, but people here, I think, will do what they want to do for the most part.
Yeah, because what the hell goes on in Kansas City besides the Chiefs the last couple of years, right?
Football and barbecue, baby. That's it.
There you go. Yeah. All right, let's talk some MMA. We do have an MMA event coming up this weekend. If you listened to our show last week, I kind of jumped the gun telling you to check out the odds on Alistair Overeem. For some reason, I thought it was last week. I thought we were in like I think starting now this week, there's a span of like, I don't know, maybe like through the end of March or April, where we have UFC event every single weekend. There's 2 events, pay-per-view events in March. I'm sorry. Can we talk about that really quick? I don't want to jump too far off topic, but hear me out, Ben.
Yeah.
The UFC wants me to pay, they just bumped up their price, right? They want me to pay, what is it, $10 for UFC Fight Pass.
Correct.
They want me to pay $10 for ESPN Plus. And now you want me to pay $80 twice in March for the HD pay-per-view? Are you fucking kidding me? What?
It's a stretch. It's a real big stretch.
Yes, it is a big stretch.
And honestly, even 258 is February 13th. So in like 6 weeks. Or less than 6 weeks. Yeah, no, 6 weeks, there's 3 pay-per-views. Basically every 2 fucking weeks. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we don't we don't endorse streaming on this podcast, but
Dana White will find you,
be
man.
careful. Yeah, Dana White will find you. He got that one streamer. We don't know the whereabouts of that streamer right now, but be very careful out there. But yeah, it's honestly kind of ridiculous. That's a lot of money to be shelling out. What, dude? Why don't they just adopt the WWE Network model? It is
I
so
mean,
goddamn good.
oh, dude, again, not to get too far off topic, but you brought it up. I watch wrestling once, maybe twice a year. I watched the Royal Rumble this past weekend. $10 for like, and you could cancel that. Like
Yes.
$10. I didn't even pay for it. My buddy did, but I guarantee you he's going to continue to get auto billed $10 a month for the next like year, and he's not going to care about it because it's fucking worth it.
Well, I'm an old school wrestling fan. I keep the WWE Network subscription just for like the old content, but
Yeah.
anytime I want a pay-per-view, dude, I can go on. Like I don't understand why they don't just condense everything into one app and put the pay-per-view on the app. If you want me to pay $20 a month to get all that,
Yeah.
I'm sold. I'm done. And I guarantee you that everything would boost up because the pay-per-view model is done.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't say it's done because Conor McGregor just did 1.6 million pay-per-views, but I mean, if you look at next month's pay-per-view, Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns,
It's weak.
fantastic fight, but dude,
Below the co-main event right now is Macy Barber and Alexa Grasso.
what do you give the over/under for that pay-per-view buys? Let's say
Like
400,000.
under for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
Especially coming off a McGregor card where a lot of those people don't want to shell out. Like, a lot of the audience has already spent their money for like the next several months that they want to spend on pay-per-views. I'm with you. I think eventually it'll just be a pure streaming service, no more pay-per-view.
we're going to talk a little bit about this company a little bit later on, but ONE FC's Mega Super app, which draws 300,000 billion subscribers and viewers each month to it. UFC's got to get on that. All right, let's talk about the fights this weekend. Main event, Alistair Overeem taking on Alexander Volkov. I absolutely love this fight. It's going to be a very interesting battle on the feet. We were talking last week. I really like the odds on Alistair Overeem. He's a plus 150 favorite right now. When I first checked it a couple of weeks ago, he was like plus 180. So there was a lot of money going in on Overeem, but still, I like Overeem at plus 150. Volkov doesn't have big power. They're kind of similar, right? They're both kind of crafty. I wouldn't say, I think Alistair has a little bit more one-punch power, but dude, I really like this fight, man. I really do.
Yeah, I'm into it. I think this is a really close competitive fight, which is like kind of sometimes at heavyweight, that's kind of just like all you need. I actually think not to like jump ahead to my pick here, but I think the odds are a bit backwards of what I expected.
Yeah, I agree.
Personally, I see Overeem as a slight favorite here, but it's heavyweight, so it's like hard to know what's going on. And you're also like, I feel like both of these guys, both Alistair Overeem and Alexander Volkov, are really hard to get a read on because Overeem on one hand, like what's his record? 48 and 47 and 18, which is fucking bananas. So like we expect him to be falling off a cliff basically any time now. And Volkov, kind of by the same token, I don't think Volkov is like shot or late in his career or anything, but ever since he's been in the UFC, like I can't decide if he is like elite or not because he clearly has a lot of skills. He's a really kind of patient striker, and he shows these flashes of like, oh, he's really good. Like the finish against Walt Harris, finishing Verdum, finishing Struve. But then at the same time, it's like, well, he went to a decision, like a really tepid decision with Greg Hardy, gets taken down a bunch by Curtis Blades. Like, I can't even decide how good I think Volkov is at this point.
I think he's very good. I'm kind of like you. I don't know. I'm kind of confused. I don't know if he's elite. I thought he was the elite of the elite, but I just don't know. But I've said this a bunch, man. Alistair Overeem is one of those guys that has like completely reinvented himself the later stages of his career, right? Like there was a point where he was young and then he was Ubereem and then he went through that downslide and you were kind of like counting him out. And now like late career Overeem, he's made up for like the lack of chin because I think he's gotten a little bit chinny later in his career, but he's made up for it with just He times takedowns well. He is very smart on the feet. He picks his shots. He picks his bursts, man. I've been so impressed with Alistair Overeem late in his career. And, dude, -4 seconds against Jairzinho Rosenstruck, Alistair Overeem would be on a 5-fight win streak at, what, 41, 42 years old?
40.
With 300 MMA fights? Like, it's crazy.
I think he's really changed around so much of his mentality too, not just beyond just the more patience on the feet and like knowing that he doesn't have the physicality anymore to just like move forward into a clinch and like blast dudes with knees like he did against like Brock Lesnar. Beyond just that, like I think there was a point in his career where he was a front runner big time.
Yes.
Where at any hint of adversity, he would kind of crumble. And it's almost the exact opposite in the last few years, to be honest. Like guys, I feel like Walt Harris for sure. I know Augusto Sakai like beat him up. Consistently, guys are like putting him against the fence, flurrying, and Alistair Overeem of like 7-8 years ago would just go away at that point in the fight. But now he's almost rope-a-doping these guys, which it's like a complete career turnaround. So I don't know. I think what's held Volkov back and why both you and I are like, well, maybe he's not the absolute elite is I think just straight athleticism is holding him back. Like he's not a humongous puncher. He obviously has a really good frame for heavyweight. But beyond that, like he's not like particularly explosive. He's not particularly fast. And I think at the very top of that division, athleticism really, really matters. And I think that's just kind of held it back. I mean, I think that's why Volkov couldn't finish Greg Hardy, even though he's like clearly a way, way, way better fighter than Greg Hardy. He just didn't have that like popping off the screen type of athleticism. That, to be fair, I think Overeem still has at 40.
Yeah, I agree. The reflexes are still there. The speed is still there. And that's one thing with Overeem, too. He's very powerful. He's very fast, and he picks his shots so well. And, dude, honestly, I can see Overeem even getting takedowns in this fight and wearing Volkov down that way. Volkov has been susceptible to takedowns. We saw it in the Curtis Blades fight. I think Overeem has long had a very underrated ground game. He has good submission skills. I really like Overeem in this fight, and I really like Overeem with underdog odds. I do think he will face some adversity, but it's going to be a tactical battle on the feet that I think he'll win. And 2 minutes left in the round, I could see him banking takedowns and stealing rounds. I really like Overeem here.
Yeah, I'm with that. I also think Overeem should be a favorite. And I think Overeem, especially at this point in his career, the guys he loses to are guys that either have like wrestling, really good wrestling, or like big power. And I don't think Volkov. Yeah, I don't think Volkov has either.
I don't think so.
And I think Volkov is definitely like a threat. Like I don't want to say Overeem like washes him on the feet, but even just straight kickboxing, like Overeem, his ideal opponent is a patient kickboxer because that's going to give Overeem time to work. And that's exactly what Volkov is he's a patient kickboxer. So I like Overeem here. I'm with you that I think some takedowns are probably gonna happen. And I also think in the clinch, Overeem wins. Even though Volkov is so tall, we know Overeem's clinch game is like second to none. So I like Overeem here. Maybe by decision, it might be kind of boring given how he's fought lately, but I got to think he gets a finish at some point in 25 minutes.
This is not going to be your typical like sloppy, like prelim heavyweight fight. It's not going to be a just bleed fight. It's going to be very tactical, probably slow at times, but appreciate it because it's going to be a good one. I think the real thing, and again, we'll have to talk about this a little bit more in depth come whenever we do our next show, next Monday or Tuesday. But if Alistair Overeem wins, I know this is like his, he's labeling it as like one last ride or, I don't know, one last shot, whatever the hell he's saying. But I want to see him get a title shot. I really do. But obviously he's going to bump out Curtis Blades. No offense, Curtis Blades. I don't care. I'd love to see Alistair Overeem get the shot. But the one guy that's really going to hinder him is John Jones, right? Because we all assume that John Jones is going to fight the winner of Stipe versus Ngannou. But yeah, dude, I really think Alistair, if he wins this fight, is going to be deserving of a title shot. I don't know if he gets it, but man, that guy has won literally everything besides the UFC title. Even though he did tap Stipe out, he didn't officially get to tap out. But I'd love to see him wear UFC gold. But we shall see, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see him get the title shot. I think part of his issue is outside of like hardcore fans like you and I don't think he is particularly likable. Um, I mean, back in the day when he was Ubereem, they could kind of like when he fought Brock, you could kind of sell him on his physique. Everybody wanted to see that. I think
Overeem was crazy.
yeah, I want Ubereem back. But I think it's going to be hard for them to like push him as like an exciting attraction now, outside of like hardcore fans kind of having sentimental value attached to him.
Dude, Dream Ubereem when he was literally on every steroid possible.
Against like Todd Duffy.
Dude, that was a savage.
That's what I'm talking about, when he would just like walk forward, knee you twice in the gut, and then you're just dead. Yeah, that's it. That's all he needed.
Yeah. I know. Should be a good fight, man. This whole card is honestly really awesome. Co-main event, I absolutely love it. The odds are very, very steep in this one. They have Cory Sandhagen as a minus 425 favorite with the comeback on Frankie Edgar as plus 325. Frankie looked really, really good in his bantamweight debut. Probably the weight class he should have been in his whole career, but he's just making it down there at 39 years young. Sandhagen coming off that beautiful, beautiful KO over Marlon Moraes. This is a tough fight for me to predict because I just haven't seen enough of Frankie at 135. I really liked him in the Munoz fight, but again, Sandhagen's younger. He's been streaking outside of the Aljamain Sterling loss. I don't know. What's your read on this fight, man?
I like Sandhagen. I do think the odds are a little bit wider than they should be. But I think Sandhagen, especially on the feet, he's so crafty. I think he's going to give Edgar problems on the feet. One thing that gives me pause, though, about picking him with so much confidence is that Frankie Edgar, we saw this when he moved from 155 to 145, that he became, like, he had that knockout against, like, was it Chad Mendes, or Chad Mendes knocked him out? I can't even remember.
No, he knocked Chad Mendes out.
He knocked Chad Mendes out, and he started working his like top game because he was just bigger. He could physically hold guys down more often.
Dude, remember the Yair Rodriguez fight? Like,
exactly.
He like big brother Yair Rodriguez. Bad.
Exactly. And I think that, I mean, his 155 career, he was kind of thought of as, yeah, he's a really good takedown artist, but he's not the grinder. He's not going to hold guys down. I think that's because he was so small. Yes. And I have to think, you know, assuming the weight cut doesn't fuck with him too much, assuming he's not like too long in the tooth to fight a long fight here, I think there is a path to victory for Frankie Edgar, just straight up grinding, getting a bunch of takedowns and holding Cory Sandhagen down. We just haven't seen a ton of that out of Frankie Edgar his entire career. He's never really been that, like, you know, just stay on top of you for 25 minutes type of guy. He gets those takedowns to throw you off your game, but I think at 135 he might have a little bit more strength to do that. But all that said, I think Sandhagen is just a little too crafty on the feet. And he, you know, with his legs, knees, punches, everything, I see him kind of catching Edgar, who is slowing down on the feet for sure, I think.
Do you think that Edgar is a little bit shitty at this point in his career? You know, he's always been like a guy that has been hurt, knocked down, but he is never like, I mean, dude, you look at those like Gray Maynard fights, some of the other fights in his career, like the guy is impossible to finish, but he's been finished a couple times recently. Do you think that's caught up to him with age and just wear and tear on the body?
I think this fight could answer it, but I mean,
yeah, sure.
You know, 25 minutes with Pedro Munoz, 25 minutes with Max Holloway. I don't think he's like shot by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, he's definitely more chinny than at one point, you know, just a couple years ago, we were talking about him like the unfinishable machine, before Brian Ortega cracked that. So I don't know. I don't expect him to just get touched and melt here or anything like that, but you got to think at some point all this damage is adding up.
I will never pick against Frankie Edgar. I got Frankie by decision. I think that he's going to be able to mix up the striking with the takedowns. And like you brought up a good point, I think that at 135, he's not going to be the small guy anymore. The strength is going to be there. I think if he can take Sandhagen down, he'll be able to bank some time on top. I got Frankie by decision, and hell, man, he might even win his way into another title shot. It'll be like his 80th, but the guy deserves it.
I mean, I'm picking Sandhagen, and not to talk me out of my own pick, but he hasn't. I mean, the best wrestler he's fought recently is Aljamain Sterling. We know how that went.
I went very bad for him.
And then even like his only other loss in his career, which to be fair, I didn't watch this fight. I don't know how it went, but his only other loss was to another really good wrestler in Jamal Emmers. So
Yes.
if I'm like really trying to make an argument for Edgar here, I think we might see wrestler Edgar come out.
I think so. Moving down on the card, we have Marion Renault taking on Macy Chiasson. An interesting one. I think Macy Chiasson off of Tough. I think a lot of us pegged her to be a contender in that division. She kind of slipped up against Lena Landsberg, which was a little bit alarming, but she got a win in her last fight over Shayna Young. She's taken on Marion Renault, who is like an ageless wonder, right? Marion Renault is 43 years old. She's coming off of 3 losses, all decisions to 3 solid fighters, but she's good, man. I don't have a big read on this one. For me, it's just Macy Chiasson taking on a veteran of the sport. I want to see where she's at.
Yeah, that's I think that's my read as well. I think Marion Renault is going to test Macy's grappling here. So if I was going to, if I'm picking Renault, I think she could get it done by submission, but Macy is just like a physical specimen at 135. I don't even know how she makes that weight. So
yeah, I don't know either.
I think it'll be a really good matchup, like you said, like a veteran against kind of a young, super athletic prospect.
Talk about a fight flying under the radar at 125. Alexandre Pantoja taking on Manel Kape. If you're not familiar with Manel Kape had a very nice run in Ryzen. The dude's an absolute stud. Taking on Pantoja, who's been, kind of circling that top of the division at 125. He was coming off the loss to Askar Askarov. No shame in that, but dude, I absolutely love this fight. It's going to be a banger.
Yeah, if people don't know about Manel Kape, sometimes he kind of reminds me of like a smaller vintage Takanori Gomi. Good wrestling and big power on the feet. He also would wear wrestling shoes in Ryzen, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I did too.
This is a rough UFC debut for him, though. I mean, even just like the fact going from a ring to a cage, going from wrestling shoes to no wrestling shoes, all those little things I think are, working against him here just because that's what he's been used to competing under. And Pantoja's jiu-jitsu, I think, is up there with the best in the world at 125. So really, really tough fight. I'm excited to see Manel Kape in the UFC. And if he gets a win, like we're talking, he's in basically a Yuri Prohashka type situation.
Yeah.
Like he's right there right away. So a really fun addition to that division.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm really, really interested in this fight. They have, let's see, Pantoja is a -140 favorite. The comeback on Manel Kape is +110.
That sounds fair to me. I don't know if I see any value either way.
I don't see any value either way, but it should be a really fun fight. Rounding out the main card, dude, love this fight as well. Carlos Diego Ferreira taking on Beneil Darius. I mean, 2 of the unheralded guys at lightweight, but 2 guys that have been doing work for a long, long time. Dude, Carlos Diego Ferreira is on a 6-fight win streak very quietly, and Beneil Darius has just been dude, Beneil Darius has been I want to say 8 to 15 for the last 5 years, man. But I feel like recently he's really put it together. He himself is on a 5-fight win streak. Dude, especially if this is the curtain jerker for the main card. What a goddamn fight.
Yeah, this is an absolute fantastic fight. And it's a rematch from their 2014 fight. But I think Carlos Diego Ferreira has improved immensely since then. They're both really good grapplers. And I don't know if you knew this. I just learned this. I knew Darius was a really, really good grappler, black belt. And I want to say he, at least at one point, was a jiu-jitsu coach, either at King's MMA, I think. He was a world champion at blue, purple, and brown belt. And then when he got his black belt, he essentially just focused all his efforts on MMA. So
yeah.
Beneil Dariush, like lately, has been knocking fools senseless, but is known for his jiu-jitsu, and Ferreira is also known for his jiu-jitsu. So I'm hoping for some really fun scrambles in this fight. But I gotta go with Dariush just based on kind of the trend. I guess they're both on win streaks, but Dariush coming off back-to-back like awesome knockouts. Hard to pick against him.
Yeah, I'm going Darius too, and you brought up a good point. Like they're both very, very good at jiu-jitsu, and I do hope we see some scrambles. But who's the better striker? Probably Darius, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where I feel he's going to win this fight. I think he just has better striking. He's craftier on the feet. He's a good wrestler himself. I think Carlos Diego Ferreira is going to he's going to struggle with Darius's length. Darius is also a southpaw. I don't think he's going to be able to get him down too often. I'm going Darius as well.
Yeah, and this honestly might be my favorite fight of the entire night. I mean,
dude,
there's a bunch of bangers. Good. Yeah, there's a bunch of sneaky, really good fights here.
Look at the prelim main event. You have Michael Johnson taking on Clay Guida. Talk about a throwback from the past. Have these guys ever fought before?
I don't know. If you told me that they have fought twice before, I would believe it. Like they've both just been right, like top 20 lightweights for like a decade. I know Michael Johnson went down to 45, or this fight is probably at 45, but you know what I mean. No, it's at 55 according to Tapology.
Michael Johnson's record is 19-16, which is crazy because like if you look at some of the guys he's beaten, Andre Fili, Dustin Poirier, Edson Barbosa, Gleison Tebow, Joe Lozon, Tony Ferguson, Danny Castillo. He's also fought Beneil Dariush, Nate Diaz, Habib, Justin Gaethje, Darren Elkin. Like, this guy has fought everybody. And Clay Guida, too. I mean, Clay Guida's like... Dude, Clay Guida's record, what the hell is his
Holy
record?
Shit, 35-20?
Yeah, like, these guys have... Have they really never fought each other?
I don't think so. That's actually like very shocking.
Because they both fought at 55. They both fought at 45. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one, man. I'm excited for it. I still Clay Guida is always one of those guys. Like, I love him, man. Damn, Clay Guida debuted in the UFC in fucking 2006. Holy shit.
He's been around for a minute.
He has been
around.
That's
crazy. Yeah.
I feel like I think Michael Johnson cracks him here. I think Guida's a little bit longer in the tooth. I don't know.
I think so too. Especially Michael Johnson is the type of guy who is always like winning until the second he loses. But I don't think of Clay Guida as like a submission threat or a knockout threat. So I think Michael Johnson can not defeat himself this time and stay ahead.
Molly McCann's on this card as well. She's one to watch. She's had a couple slip-ups in the UFC, but I think she's still a viable contender at flyweight.
Yeah, no, up and down. This card is all like kind of exciting. Even Youssef Zalal.
Yeah, he's making a quick turnaround.
He's coming off a loss, right?
He lost at on the same card as with Maurice and Sandhagen. So,
but really he is still like despite that loss, I still think he is like a top tier prospect to keep your eyes on. There's just, I mean, this is a good kind of all violence card.
Yeah, it is a really good one. Let's talk a little bit going on outside of the UFC. PFL just announced their lightweight and featherweight rosters along with their 2021 schedule. Pulling it up now. Dude, the lightweight roster, and I know you posted about it on Twitter. Dude, it's really freaking good. There's a lot of good dudes. I don't even have the graphic here. Have you got the graphic?
I don't have the
Oh wait, I got some of the names actually.
Yeah, the lightweight roster, man, we could. I am so excited for PFL to come back. With OAM, Olivier Aubin Mercier, the Canadian gangster, obviously like a big signing for PFL. Excited to see him back, and he is kind of like. I don't want to like jump the gun, but he is kind of like a slightly more athletic version, I think, of their champion, Natan Schultz. They're both like judo guys, grappling specialists. Natan Schultz
is very good, man.
So I was just talking about this, like, he's somebody who I think is very good, but he obviously hasn't faced like really top tier competition. And I think he's going to get it this year. Clay Collard coming off of like fucking 9 pro
right?
boxing
Yeah.
matches. And I actually
Held.
Marcin Held,
Love
UFC
that
vet,
one.
submission specialist, Bellator vet. Johnny Case, UFC vet, really fun fighter to watch.
Anthony
Who else?
fucking Pettis, man.
And then of course Anthony
Anthony
Pettis.
Pettis,
Yeah,
the big one. Yeah, dude, it's a really good lightweight division.
man. I want Anthony Pettis to win that tournament and win $1 million, but he's gonna have to fight like 5 times in a year.
Yeah,
Like that's what you have to do.
That's tough.
And twice in one night at one point. But yeah, I think not to be the guys that are like telling you to watch other MMA than just UFC, but I'm gonna be that guy. Like,
yeah, watch it.
Watching PFL this year is gonna be really fun because every year, like just the regular season gets you invested in the tournament, and then the tournament, you know how it's gonna shake out. And now with guys like Anthony Pettis in there, man, I'm all the way pumped. And even like the lesser known guys, like I'm gonna butcher his name, but Loic Radzhabov made it to the fucking PFL finals last year, and he was like completely unknown. So man, I'm really jacked. I can't wait till like April when they actually start their season.
I'm surprised that they have Lance Palmer re-signed. I really thought that Lance Palmer, and I kind of hoped that Lance Palmer was going to make the jump, right? Because I'd like to see Lance Palmer fight against the best, whether it's a Pitbull fight in Bellator or jumping into the UFC's division. But it seems like whatever issues, because remember, dude, he was like
he said he wanted out.
Yeah, he wanted to like sue them on his way out, and I guess I don't know if they got it resolved. I'm imagining they did, but they also signed Shaman Rice, who's a stud, Bubba Jenkins to their 145-pound division. So they got a lot of big things going on, man. And don't forget, Rory McDonald is on the roster at 170.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm in on PFL just like I have been in years past, and hopefully, they don't have any major like mess ups this year. No COVID things. COVID could really fuck up their entire scene, running a tournament in season the way they do. So hopefully they stay out of it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say like I'm more excited about the lightweight division, but even like those names you just mentioned at 45, Shaman Rice, obviously Palmer, and Bubba Jenkins, I feel like is kind of a sleeper in that division, especially because I don't feel like Lance Palmer is going to be able to just out wrestle him. He might be able to beat him in an MMA fight, but we're talking about a stud wrestler, Bubba Jenkins.
It's funny. I don't know if anyone listening to this has a Flow account, but they just released a documentary on Flow Wrestling called The Toughest Bracket Ever. It's a bracket chronicling the 149-pound bracket from, I believe, 2008 with just tons of names. Jordan Burroughs was in that bracket. Lance Palmer and Bubba Jenkins were in that bracket. It's a really good doc. I believe the second episode of it is dropping tonight, so if you want to check that out. But it looks like they're going to be kicking off in April. Yeah. And it seems like April is going to be a big month for MMA because I believe that's the next Bellator event.
So all I heard was it was circulating on Twitter a rumor that I don't have the date in front of me. I want to say it was like April 23rd or something, but they haven't even officially announced any events yet this year, which feels weird. And I assume somebody will ask them about it, like, when they hold a press conference, what's kind of why this long layoff. But I can't remember the last time Bellator took like 4 months off.
Yeah, and I'm surprised too because they got the they were doing good with the bubble. They got fights back. They were doing really well, and then boom, it just kind of stopped, man. I was hoping that they would have gotten something going with earlier because, dude, we need to get. And again, I don't want to sell Emmanuel Sanchez short, but dude, both of us are just foaming at the mouth for this Pitbull AJ McKee fight if it does happen. I really hope they get. I hope they get the ball rolling soon. I'm kind of surprised. Maybe it was something with Mohegan Sun in the bubble, but I thought they would have just kept running in the bubble and got things going a little bit quicker.
Yeah, or maybe, man, I've been saying I wish MMA had an off season. Maybe they just said, you know what, let's take a break. Because when they do come back, I think they have a lot of kind of divisions that need sorted out. Like we just said, they got to finish the featherweight Grand Prix. You got to get like light heavyweight figured out now with like Rumble Johnson and
Is
Corey Anderson and Yoel Romero. There's a lot to be done. I'm trying to think what else is going on. 170 is pretty fucking stacked there, still with Lima as the champion. Like, you know, there's a lot that they could do, but yeah, it seems a little weird that they've been just totally silent on kind of what their schedule is for the rest of the year.
I agree. One FC is I believe they have a card actually coming up. I want to say this weekend or next weekend, but their big card is going to be April 7th. They're making their debut on TNT, headlined by Demetrius Johnson fighting for the title. Eddie Alvarez is on that card. Hoping they can get Gary Tonin on one of these cards coming up soon. But man, I don't really know what to think about one. One's kind of been hanging around, and then they do kind of like questionable things. You never know what to think about one. I think Chatri Sityodtong is I don't know. I take that guy's word with a grain of salt, man.
We were talking about this before we hit record, but talking about them like ONE FC just blowing up, they're saying like this was viewed by like fucking 5 billion people or something. Like clearly made up numbers. We were talking about how I just have it here. So last April, there was a charity concert for like COVID relief or something. It was like, we can all watch this concert at home, and it was called One World : Together at Home. And if I remember correctly, ONE FC, like Chatri straight up took credit for it. It was like, we organized this. And it's like, you weren't fucking calling Lady Gaga and like being like, you know what I mean? Just because it had the word one, they like have the balls to like put it out on their social media that they were associated with it, which is just like so bold. Like, I can't imagine having the kind of confidence to be like, yep, we did this. And like, you have clearly nothing to do with it.
And I like what one does, right? I like that they're trying to eliminate weight cutting. I like that they fight in the ring, they fight in the cage, they vary up the rules, they do kickboxing with 4-ounce gloves. I like a lot of what they're doing, but again, like, dude, Chatri Sityodtong, again, like I trust him with a grain of salt. I guess that's like a lot of promoters, right? You're kind of not the biggest fan of them, but yeah, and again, their numbers are skewed, right? Like, you know, the average MMA fan, do they know about ONE FC? Probably not. But you're boasting that your ONE FC streaming platform and your shows are doing 8 billion buys and views. Like, I don't know, dude.
Dude, there is some. I think the most casual MMA fans for sure don't know about ONE, but I have spoken like in person, not on Twitter, not on, you know, in real life, with people that I consider maybe not as like well informed as like you or I are in terms of MMA, but a pretty regular MMA watcher. And this guy was like, oh no, ONE Championship, they're like huge, they like do huge numbers. And I was like, no, trust me, it's like they're like completely just making that shit up. It's like Donald Trump saying he had the biggest fucking inauguration parade in history, and we could see that it was not, you know?
Yeah, was it, right?
And I will, before I forget, because you mentioned Gary Tonin, I listened to a podcast that he was on maybe a week or two ago, and he sounds, nothing is official yet, but he sounds like he is training and preparing for a title shot like in the first half of this year. So I do think he's going to be booked pretty soon. Yeah.
Love it, man. I think they got to keep him happy, because eventually if they don't, he's going to be looking elsewhere. And I think a lot of promotions, UFC, Bellator, would jump the gun on him to get him.
Especially because he's American. Like, you think of the other like UFC big signings like Yuri Prohashka. Like, he could have been like a huge signing, but because he's not American and had fought in this Asian organization, nobody really knew who he was. Same with Manel Kape. Whereas Gary Tonin already has like a built-in niche audience with jiu-jitsu, and he's American and has this like really kind of active, funny social media presence. So you got to think American promotions like UFC and Bellator are kind of chomping at the bit to get somebody like him.
Yeah. Couple other things before we get out of here. Michael Chandler was doing an interview yesterday. Was it with Ariel Helwani? I forget. I listened to tidbits of it, but I can't. I should have this info, but whatever. Whatever. Basically, he was saying that he was sitting down to dinner, eating a 20-ounce ribeye or something, and he got a call offering him to fight. And he didn't name the fighter, but offering to fight someone in the rankings that was ahead of him as the co-main event of UFC 258. He immediately said yes, he accepts. Now, if you look at the rankings, who's ahead of him? Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, and who's the other one?
Gaethje.
All accounts are looking like it was Charles Oliveira declining the fight. I can't say I blame him, really, dude. Like, and again, like, I feel like the UFC is not going to respect that, and I think Charles Oliveira has it against him right now because he does not speak English. He's not American. Michael Chandler is the new toy that just had a beautiful knockout and got on the mic and ripped a Ric Flair promo. What do you think about that? Do you think it would have been beneficial for Charles Oliveira on an 8-fight win streak to take this fight, or do you like that he stood his ground?
I like that he stood his ground, but I also recognize that he's in a hard spot for the reasons that you just brought up. Like, people are not like, I mean, you and me are clamoring to see him against the top lightweights in the world, but he's not well known. And yeah, I think, unfortunately, we've seen how the UFC kind of treats guys differently based on their willingness to take these types of fights that may or may not be good for them. And I think for Oliveira, his issue is like weight cutting. Like, he knows he needs a full 8-week or 6-week camp to make that weight. But I think, yeah, it's bad. I mean, good on Chandler for kind of making this story known, because I think that's going to behoove him. He's going to be friends with the UFC now. Like, the UFC, once they view you as easy or difficult, you're kind of put into one of those two boxes.
And
he's
you're definitely matched. Easy.
Yeah. Chandler fucking went to Abu Dhabi and weighed in for no fight. Like, he is the easiest. I feel like Dana White and the UFC are going to kind of use Michael Chandler as a bargaining piece against everybody else to say, hey, he'll take this fight on 2 weeks' notice. Hey, he'll take this fight for less money than you. Like, he doesn't care. And, you know, that's Michael Chandler doing his own thing. But yeah, I appreciate Oliveira standing his ground because he's on a fucking 8-fight win streak. Like, you know, and if I had my druthers, he'd be fighting for the title next. But I would hate to see him like lose a future opportunity because of this, because the UFC is kind of vindictive in that way.
Yeah, I have no problem with him turning down this fight. And dude, what would it be, like 11 or 12 days notice, 13 days notice? Like, he's a big guy. He cuts a lot of weight. And dude, he's on an 8-fight win streak. I just feel like, I have no problem with him. I personally think it should be him versus Justin Gaethje for the title. Not Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier. I'm sorry, for the title. And I am one of the biggest Michael Chandler fans out there. Give me Chandler versus Gaethje, but I don't know. I feel like he's going to be the odd man out, and he's going to have to take another fight. And, you know, we saw what happened to poor Tony Ferguson winning 12 fights in a row, never getting that official title shot. And, you know what's crazy, dude? Out of all this lightweight talk we've been talking about the past couple weeks, like, Tony Ferguson is just not in the conversation anymore. And that man was on a 12-fight win streak. And for him to never fight for an undisputed title, it's wild.
Yeah. It kind of bums me out. He's like become a fan favorite in losing. I feel like people care more about Tony Ferguson after seeing him lose now, because they kind of feel like, oh fuck, this guy won for so long, and like probably, or like could have won a title at one point in that stretch, but now he's lost it. I would hate to see Oliveira kind of fall in that same spot, but yeah, like, if I'm him and I'm on this win streak, I just beat the ever loving piss out of Tony Ferguson, I'd be so mad that they're offering me not only not a title shot, but a guy who's ranked below me. You know, I could see him just, even if he could make weight, even if the weight cut was no issue, I could see him just turning that down just on principle alone. Like, no, I should be fighting somebody above me or for a title at the very least.
I agree, man. Hey, really quick before we close this up, what do you think about this headline I see on MMA News? Expert Octagon. This is actually not verbatim. I'm just being an asshole. But Stephen A. Smith, expert Octagon journalist. I don't want to see women fighting in the Octagon. Can we keep Stephen A. Smith to his own fucking sports? Like, MMA is such a niche sport, and it's such a new sport, right? Compared to baseball, basketball, football. Like, I get like they have the ESPN deal, and Stephen A. Smith is synonymous with ESPN, but like, please stop with the fucking Stephen A. Smith MMA shit. It's not needed.
I mean,
Get him out of there.
This is all he does is give hot takes that make people mad. So, he's doing his job. Also, I will say the one thing I will say, not that he even needs to be argued with, or not that I want to have a back and forth like debating this like idiotic take, but the best fight of 2020, everybody agrees. Guess what? 115-pound women. Dude, here, let me ask you this, because now I'm looking at headlines. What is less surprising? One, that Stephen A. Smith said something idiotic about MMA, or this headline: Tito Ortiz to remain Huntington Beach mayor pro tem after city council tables vote to remove. So Tito Ortiz is somehow still not kicked out of his like city council position that he's had for like 3 weeks.
I know, right?
Did you see him like trying to pick a fight with somebody? Did you see that video?
I've seen many of them, dude. They're all over the place. He's arguing with people and like...
He's like the mayor pro tem, whatever that means, of this city, and he's like in way over his head. His humongous cracked skull head.
I think his reign is going to be very, very short as the mayor of Huntington Beach.
I mean, as Michael Chiesa would say, your shtick is over. Trump lost.
Yeah, his shtick is definitely over. All right, dude. That's all I got, man.
Yeah, same here.
All right. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Please, if you can, if you're listening to this on whatever you listen to, whether it's SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, hit us with the subscribe button. Again, if you want to bet, mybookie.ag, fixed MMA for all your betting needs. We'll talk to you all soon.
No escape, can you step to this? Face the pain.